Hey guys, James here with IGN, and here is a complete raid guide for the 5 encounters in the Leviathan. Keep in mind that these become much easier to understand after you've completed them. Let's go. The Castellum is the nexus that connects all the raid areas and will need to be repeated to start every wing unless you utilize the maintenance paths. Each door has a symbol: sun, beasts, axes, and chalice. Step on the plate in front of the appropriate door to activate the encounter. Each plate has 3 orifices. A staff will need to be inserted into each. A glowing symbol will appear above each orifice. Send 3 raid members to the door with the corresponding symbol to kill the standard bearer and grab the staff, while the other 3 defend the plate from liberators and kill the scions to bring down their shields. Once all the staffs have been inserted into the plate, the door will open. In the royal pools, your fire team will need to simultaneously occupy 4 control plates around the outside of the room while juggling a buff called psionic protection. A 5th plate in the center of the encounter exists only to continuously spawn the buff, and this plate does not need to be constantly manned like the others. The psionic protection buff allows you to stand in the water without taking damage but will slowly decay. 2 players should each start the encounter in the center room, grab a fresh buff, and run to swap out with the player standing on an outer plate before their psionic protection fades. The relieved player, in turn, runs to the center, grabs a new buff, and tags out another player. Once all 4 plates have been simultaneously held for long enough, the next phase will begin, at which point all raid members run to the center, stand on the middle plate to get the Force of Will buff, and damage the purple vials hanging from golden chains until a scion spawns in the center, ending the damage phase. Simply rinse and repeat until all the vials are destroyed. It should be noted that jumping off an outer plate doesn't immediately reset its progress, so you can briefly hop out of the water to buy time or kill bathers. Let's go over the elements of the Pleasure Garden encounter. There is 1 safe room, 6 royal beasts, 4 spores, 2 prism weapons, 8 static spore plants, and several beams of light. The objective is to kill all 6 royal beasts at approximately the same time. The beasts are incredibly tough, so sneaking around to acquire stacks of the Empowering Spores buff is the name of the game. Once the 2 prism weapons have been picked up, the doors to the safe room will open and the encounter begins. A group of 4 players must grab the spores and sneak to the glowing purple plant together. To avoid alerting the beasts, the 2 prism holders will need to act as guides, telling the group when and where to move. When the group approaches a spore plant, the spore will open and must be shot by a prism holder standing in a beam of light before the spore disappears. Make sure all 4 players are around the plant before it is popped for maximum stacks, and kill the beast handlers that spawn after with the prism weapons. Aim for 36 stacks of Empowering Spores or more, then spread the fire team out so that each player is damaging a separate beast. Damaging or being detected by the beasts will cause them to unleash a psionic howl. After 40 seconds, the howl will kill any raid member outside of the safe room, so damage each beast as much as possible without killing them, and then retreat to the safe room before the psionic howl concludes. Repeat this process until each beast is low enough to be killed simultaneously in a single phase, and then do so. You can hide in the safe room a total of 3 times before the doors no longer open, for a total of 4 potential damage phases. Killing a royal beast will result in the remaining beasts becoming restless sooner, effectively allowing the group less time to gather Empowering Spores. The Gauntlet encounter requires 4 players positioned atop pillars to shoot arrows that enable 2 runners to complete a clockwise lap around the surrounding gauntlet without exploding. Before starting the encounter, assign roles to each raid member. 4 players will be shooters and 2 runners. The shooters will each also be assigned a symbol: sun, beast, axes, and chalice, corresponding to a pillar that must be occupied while the runners are in the gauntlet. The 2 runners can roam during the combat phase, but must be ready to pick up the psionic charge at the beast and chalice pillars shortly after the Imperial Centurions have spawned. Picking up the charge, or ball, will teleport the runners inside the gauntlet at opposite ends. Each runner will see a grid of 9 circles, one of which will be red. Each runner must then call out which horizontal row the red circle is in, either top, middle, or bottom, prompting 2 shooters to simultaneously shoot the other 2 rows. Shooting the correct arrows turns all the circles green, and the circle that was previously red will spawn an orb that resets the explosion timer on the runner's ball. Also, scions will spawn for the shooters, just kill them. When a lap is completed, the runners will be teleported out of the gauntlet and must dunk their ball into the center orifice. Repeat this process 3 times to complete the encounter. However, on the 3rd phase, every player will be teleported in to run the gauntlet, at which point the raid must coordinate who picks up a reset orb and who doesn't. If you miss 2 pickups, you will explode, so pick up an orb every other grid. Finally, coordinating which arrows the shooters are shooting can be a challenge. Without getting into too much detail, our configuration was Beast and Chalice shoot the lowest appropriate arrow, while Sun and Axes shoot the highest. And each shooter is only responsible for shooting the set of arrows in front or to the right of them, depending upon where the runners are. Emperor Callus requires your raid to split in half with 3 members of the fire team in the Void Realm, coordinating with the rest of the raid in the Throne Room. Actions in one realm affect the other, and an understanding of both is essential to defeating Callus. You'll need to designate 3 fire team members as the away team and 3 as the home team. Shoot the Emperor's Cup to begin the encounter and kill the ensuing enemies. 4 Scions will spawn. These Scions do not need to be killed at this stage and will spawn more enemies if they are, so leave them alive for now. Shortly after the Scions spawn, the entire fire team will be teleported to the Void Realm. In the Void Realm, there are 3 orbs and a barricade. The away team take cover behind the barricade, while the home team take the teleportation orbs back to the throne room. Each of the 3 away team members will see a symbol on the projection of Emperor Callus's forehead. The symbol is different for every player. These 3 symbols must be communicated to the home team, who in turn identify the missing symbol and kill the corresponding Scion. For example, if the away team members see a Chalice, Beast, and Axes, the Scion under the Sun symbol must be killed. Doing so will spawn the next barricade for the away team in the Void Realm. Without it, the away team would be sucked into space. The away team must also kill spawning sets of 3 Scions and 2 floating counselors. The Scions will launch players off the platform, while the counselors will detonate the projection if allowed to explode, wiping the raid. Once the away team has reached the projection of Callus, his mouth will open, spawning a swarm of skulls. Every skull killed grants a stack of Force of Will, increasing the raid's damage against the boss. While this is occurring, back in the throne room, Emperor Callus conjures a shield. The home team must destroy the shield before it explodes, but when the shield is destroyed, the projection of Callus stops spawning skulls. So, destroying the shield too soon will result in poor boss phase damage, while waiting too long will result in a wipe. Timing is key. When the shield is destroyed, the away team returns to the throne room and the boss damage phase begins. The entire fire team should hop on the same illuminated platform and shoot the boss. After approximately 10 seconds, Callus will summon an explosion on the platform, and the fire team must flee to another illuminated platform, repeating this process a total of 4 times. After the final platform has been exhausted, the fight reverts back to the first phase. Simply repeat the general combat, Void Realm, and boss damage phases until Callus is dead. At about 60% HP, Callus will reveal himself to be a robot surrogate of the real Emperor, exposing his weakest point, a red power core in his chest. Finally, when Callus is at 0% HP, he will attempt to self-destruct, destroy a shield before he explodes, and wipes the raid. Then proceed to collect your epic loot. For all things Destiny 2 and shooters, keep it right here on IGN.